I mean, do you see any headwinds? Do you see any things that could,
Oh, sure.
turn
Oh,
things?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two things. One is obviously these viral variants. I mean, God forbid, that, as this thing evolves, the biology of this evolves to the point where the new variants are even more virulent, right? Than,
Yeah.
and I think, everything that I read and listen to suggests that there's a sense of nervousness about that on the part of, clinicians. And then there's a conversation about, well, you get a booster shot, you're going to be fine. Well, who knows? I mean, we don't
Yeah.
know. So that clearly is an issue that hangs in the air. The other is how this is raging out of control in places where they don't have access to vaccine. And I'll give you an example. Again, one of the cruises that we had to cancel, we rebooked, is going to take us to Brazil. And my concern is that it's exploding down there. And the question is, we're supposed to go in February, and while that seems like a lifetime away, but that's entirely possible that a country may still be locked down. So if you think about the headline here is, where can you go? Will you be permitted to visit, some of the popular destinations in Europe? I mean, God, nobody's going to France these days, right? UK, you can't go to. So the question is, we say, oh, that's all going to improve in 3 months or 4 months. We don't know that. So that's the other kind of complicating factor. So to me, the two potential speed bumps out there are, does this virus morph, to the point where there are new strains that just, and even if we can combat them with booster shots, the question is, how does that affect someone's kind of travel sentiment? So it raises anxiety, and we know that nothing kills demand faster than nervousness about hygiene now and safety.
Yeah.
And then the other is, where can you actually go? And importantly, not where can you go, but what do you have to do to get there? Do you have to quarantine and all these other things, which are huge obstacles for people.
Especially with the pricing. I mean, if you're not getting if I guess if the consumer is not getting a deal to go somewhere and they go to Paris and they can't go spend time at cafes or at the Louvre or
Exactly
things
right.
like that. You mentioned the TSI. So you guys have been calculating that since 2007, you said, right?
Correct.
And I'm curious, what do you remember the lowest number you have recorded in those? It's been 14 years. Yeah.
You look at that. And you can see the long, slow climb out of that. Then we actually punctured that theoretical index value of 100 back in, I think it was 2014. And you'll notice that now it's at 119, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it's higher now than it was before the pandemic.
That's the point. That's the point. That's the index of demand. Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Yeah, that V. I guess everyone talks about the recovery with stock prices, but the V-shaped recovery with demand it just seems outrageous, almost how quickly it dipped and how quickly it also rose back up.
Yeah, no, key difference is this is not the actual manifestation of demand. So it's not people on planes and hotels and so forth. This is intention, right? So this always precedes that, right? So, and the question is, people always ask is, well, do people behave the way they claim they will behave? And the answer is, for the most part, yes, they do. The wild card there is the element of time. When does that actually materialize? And that goes back to what we talked about before, which is, where can I go? What's the incidence of vaccinations? Actually, if you look at the other slides in that report that I sent you, you'll see all of the safety indices there too, which you'll see how they've moved over the past couple of months.
Oh, you've done this survey since 2007, and has safety ever has been this big of a concern as in a time that you can remember?
Not since 2007. I will tell you, the only time it was comparable, and I can't give you hard data because we didn't have comparable methodology then, was after 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, no. I mean, we have never seen that kind of prominence associated with this.
This is Dan McCarthy, and you're listening to the Check-In Podcast.